to work, we're gonna work with the department, and we'll work with you.
But Larry, I think that's the key, because
Yeah.
I think the reason we've come up
Yep.
with this is that Dunn to date has not been able to fulfill what our needs are.
Yep.
And the department is there for our needs.
Yep.
So to have those conversations without this, so you should
So
be
we-
asking us the questions now, what questions do you have in terms of
Well, we're almost there.
how we set that up?
We're almost there, but I'm not sure everybody else is there.
We're there.
Yeah,
We're there.
go ahead.
I want to return to Sean's proposal about cooperative assumption of work by neighborhood councils, regardless of where this may be, because it's important. Elections are a wonderful example. Dunn has not been entirely 100% bad or difficult. We together were very efficient running elections. We did it with outreach for half or less the budget that we're now getting elections only. This is a success story, and it's actually the kind of thing that Sean's proposal is based on.
Right.
We know we can do this successfully together. We're concerned that if it's not a separate department, or let's say a separate entity, then this ability to work as a team and assume responsibilities like training, elections, which are all diverse, is going to be difficult because it will get scattered amongst other departments. That's our concern.
So let me say that you have full agreement, and we're successful at keeping it from getting scattered, right? So it will be, no matter what it is, we believe it will be a standalone unit, right? But I suspect it will be subject to a consolidation, and I suspect it'll end up at CDD, but the decision has not been made.
Question?
I'm sorry, let's go back here first.
Yes, a couple of questions. I mean, going back to sort of the staffing idea and the idea of neighborhood council participating, does the city have any kind of unpaid intern program at all in place?
Sure.
Is this something that could fit into that?
Yeah, no, actually, under the mayor's office, under our team, Neighborhood Community Services, we have a volunteer services where we officially register people as volunteers, get them parking, get them insurance coverage, et cetera. So, you know, in our office, we do volunteer services for libraries, rec and parks, everybody.
So I'm wondering if that might be an existing avenue to take as opposed to, I mean, I agree, the org chart maybe makes it look a little scary that you've got these people that are going to be injected in the process that might have authority, but maybe if you went down a road like that already exists. I guess the second point that I had is my thought is that there's not a lot of union strength within your department. Is that true? So there's not a lot of turf that's been carved out. You've got a lot of public participation that wants to be involved, that wants to make this work. Couldn't you take the standalone idea, try to develop this idea, and basically say, there's going to be draconian cuts all over the place, there's going to be draconian cuts to this department, but this department has energy from, you know, untested sources. Can we make this a project of bringing together the best minds to take something that, you know, that maybe isn't working by everybody's standards and make it work? And we can develop our financial standards, our election standards, I mean, that you can measure us, that we'll sit down and say, you know, there will be no losses in excess of this, elections will be this, grievances will not be over this, and have it be something that can be held up as a model. Be a little forward thinking as opposed to just, and you can still get the savings by doing whatever cuts you need to do. And we'll be responsible for our destiny.
So the problem is you're not really negotiating with me. So I'm negotiating, you know, in a sense too. Well, that may not exactly play out, but you're giving me some strength to be able to make my internal arguments.
The CDD money is non-general fund.
All of their money is special
And
funds.
so it makes, that makes our argument difficult because we did that, our money disappears and goes to another source and comes out of the general fund.
So so CDD, for example, they ran the bridges programs, right? And so that was all general funded, you know, dollars. They did $8 million a year. It's, you know, so they certainly can run general funded programs. Their concern is that, you know, that council continues to try to touch general fund positions and goes after those positions inside of the special funded departments.
here's a question there. Dunn's charter created, yes, their functions can be transferred and everything else, but as far as Dunn itself ceasing to exist,
Yeah.
it's gotta exist someplace.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question, and we wrestled with this on the commission, was what's the purpose of Dunn now that most of the startup is?
Right.
Can this plan, can this organization that's been proposed, can that exist within something like CDD, where all of these other functions you've talked about, all the relationships with the city? The reason I'm asking is because if these functions are fully transferred to another department, we're at the bottom of the stack rather than having anybody who's concerned or working as part of it. Can this model that Sean has looked at be actually created within something like CDD, where all the other functions are done by it?
Yeah, and I think the answer to that is yes, it can be created inside a CDD, right?
So Dunn could continue to exist in this model, but within another department that would handle all of the pecuniary and all those
It
functions.
is theoretically possible, so that's the conversation we haven't fully had yet, but a thing that might be useful is the next conversation, and I haven't even heard this presentation, but I'm gonna put my staff on the spot, or Claudia or BH on the spot, but they have given me the 10 absolutely essential staffing positions that they think that they need. And so I don't know if you're willing to open this one up, but at some point,
Let's hear them. Let's hear
seeing
them.
the essential 10 positions, I think you're not quite seeing what they're seeing, but they may not be quite seeing what you're seeing, right? So I think that would be a useful
Let's hear them.
conversation at some point.
I do have one other question, if I can.
Ken, you're in charge.
Okay, with regards to the elections, the elections were transferred to the city clerk by way of ordinance. Now, if the ordinance were done away with, period, that function would revert under the charter back to Dunn. You're talking about having to get permission for outsourcing from the union.
Yep.
Once it's transferred back to Dunn, how difficult would that become? If you no
I don't
longer
think
have
it'll
the
be
city-
that difficult. I think labor will understand that these are essential functions, and they, hopefully will care, that, the neighbor councils will continue to function, right? So I think I haven't had the conversations with Julie, but you should.
There's a point I'd like to raise here, to bring us back to basics, and that's this. In what has been presented to you and where I'm coming from on this, is that we need to understand that the neighborhood council system is not about the department.
Right.
It's about the neighborhood council.